William Lentz.
Yes, thank you both for being here. This was an illegal immigration question also. A lot of you already answered, but I guess I'll ask something specific. This is in regard to, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what nationality or race the person is living beside me as long as they're here legally. And you addressed a lot of the southern border. But this is specifically about fining or regulating businesses that hire illegals. I'm not smart enough to know if that works, or my dad was telling me last night that back in the 70s that he got this form in the business he was in that required that they pay a $750 fine or whatever it was if they hired them. And it doesn't seem to be enforced these days. Is that a good way to help here in Ohio?
I think it goes back to what we're saying, that we need to take the incentive out. And one of the incentives is obviously finding a job, because employers out there hire illegals. You know, somehow we need a workable, enforceable guest worker program, because there is some sectors in our economy that struggle to get people even as high unemployment, because people don't want to go out and pick blueberries. You know, I don't know. But I think the thing that makes me a little nervous about, because the federal government, I haven't really figured out anything the federal government really does right, and I know they got this E-Verify program, and the unintended consequences that worries me. I don't want employers out there that are trying to do the right thing and only hire illegal people, but they get, you know, I guess some of these illegals are pretty sophisticated of their documentation, and so if we're gonna really enforce that, we've got to have a real good program that protects the employers, because I don't want to. I can just see federal regulators, and I see it too much with certain agencies now, that just come down the hammer on employers that are trying to do the right thing. Okay, now the guys out there that no longer are breaking the law, that's a different issue. But I'm afraid of the unintended consequences, the employers out there that are trying to do the right thing and get caught in the middle, and they end up, you know, having expensive legal battles and fines, and you know, because you can't fight the federal government illegal, unless you're Bill Gates, I guess, or Warren Buffett. It's going to be tough. So we've really got to have a program where employers can actually verify if those people are legal or not. And I don't know how well that program is functioning. Like I said, the federal government doesn't do much right in anything, if anything. So that's where, you know, I'm for enforcement, but I want to make sure we don't do something that's going to hurt our employers out here that are doing the right thing.
The problem is not necessarily with employers. Employers, by and large, do try to have legal people working for them as much as they can. I mean, generally, that's almost a given. Everybody, if somebody comes up and says, "I'd like to work for you, and here's my identification," I mean, how can an employer really tell whether that's authentic or not? You know, especially in jobs of high overturn or high turnover, such as agricultural jobs, and et cetera. So I think that by and large, most of the people that are hiring are reasonably honest about it, and they wouldn't want to do that. But to put all these heavy penalties on a business because they forgot to dot an I or cross a T or something, in the same vein that the senator was referring to, I don't think there should be a penalty, you know, heavy penalties for that. I think that if the immigration laws were upheld, most employers would say, "Yeah, I've got some people that, you know, I'm not sure, you know, they're applying for a job and I'm not sure about their credentials." But employers aren't going to do that because there's racial profiling, or there are any number of other things that are going to get them in trouble with their particular state. So where the problem is, I think, is other than what we've already discussed about illegal immigration to begin with, you know, as far as protecting our borders, et cetera, is at the state level. The state of California is getting ready to fall off into the ocean for a number of reasons, and one of them is not necessarily to do with their fault line, it's their economy, because they keep giving all these free gifts to incentivize people to keep on coming across the border. And I think more could be done with, if the states took the initiative and had the backbone to do like Arizona, for example. Not sure that California would do that anytime soon, but to eliminate all these programs and, all the incentives. I mean, it's almost, if you stop and think about it, we have a poor economy right at the moment compared to what it has been. But compared to Mexico, we're doing pretty good, and there's still incentive for them to come over there. And a lot of the folks do. They come over here and work and contribute to society, et cetera, except for they're illegal. So that right there is unconstitutional. It's wrong in my eyes. But to offer incentives for them to come over, and then start punishing everybody because we offered them the incentives, I mean, that's got to start someplace, and I think it's at the state. First of all, the federal government plug up the borders. And likewise with Canada, if we had the same issue on the north border, this isn't a north-south border thing. It's not a racial thing at all. It's just a matter of the rule of law country. If you're not here by that rule of law, you're illegal.
Michael Morgan.
Here's a follow-up.
Okay.
Ma'am, please. Just real quickly, do we depend on the federal system that's in place, Mr. Gibbs, to find illegals or to know the illegals? Do we have a state system?
It's my understanding, this was a big surprise to me earlier this year, the local county sheriff of Butler County, Butler County is just north of Hamilton, Cincinnati, came to his state senator, Gary Cates, and said, we've got a problem here in Butler County, and I don't have the authority to enforce the federal immigration laws. And so Gary Cates sponsored a bill, and I co-sponsored it, that said it's permissible, county sheriffs can do it. But what it turned out, which was an education for me, state governments do not have the authority, state local officials do not have the authority to enforce immigration laws unless two things happen. One, if the feds come in and ask for their assistance, or if they arrest somebody else for another crime, robbery, or whatever, and they find out he's illegal, then let's turn him over to immigration. But they can't go out. My understanding is they can't go out and arrest illegal immigrants. And that's what the Arizona thing's about. And like I said, we passed it, high in the House Senate. It was partisan lines. All Republicans voted for it, no Democrats. I'm pretty sure of that. And of course, the House Democrats didn't take it up. The Governor Strickland was against it. So, that's my understanding how that works. So your county sheriff here can't go out and arrest illegals, but unless he's arrested them for another crime first.